Hello everyone, I'm Sarah Moyle and I'm very excited to be spending a few minutes with you today talking about something that I'm very passionate about, which is creative ideation and the importance of pause. And before we dive in, I just want to let you know that this is going to be an interactive talk, so there'll be a couple times where I ask you to enter something in the chat. If you're here with me live, if you are listening to this as a recording, I encourage you to write it down for yourself. Or at least reflect when I ask the questions. And you'll also need something to draw with and draw on towards the end of the session. We're going to do a little exercise. Okay, let's dive in. Think of a time when you felt a creative spark, an aha moment. That moment when the metaphorical light bulb turns on, when the puzzle pieces click together. It feels pretty good, doesn't it? It's exciting and satisfying and sometimes stress relieving if you've got a big problem that you're trying to solve. And you probably feel pretty good about yourself when you have that aha moment. You feel pretty darn clever. Now, think about where you were and what you were doing when you had that aha moment. I obviously wasn't there with you, but I'm going to guess that you were doing something along these lines. Taking a shower, maybe trying really hard to fall asleep while your mind kept racing, driving, taking a walk in nature, maybe exercising, moving your body, or creating some artwork. I'm also going to go out on a limb and guess what you weren't doing, which is probably not sitting in front of your laptop, trying really hard and focusing on the problem at hand. We often fall into the trap of thinking that if we bang our head hard enough against a problem and spend enough time focused on it, that we'll come up with a brilliant and innovative idea or solution. But we often end up stuck or discover that we've gone too far down the wrong path and we have to backtrack. You've probably heard the expression, can't see the forest for the trees. And it's a metaphor that's usually applied to someone being too myopic or siloed in their viewpoint or thinking, too close to one aspect of a problem to see the bigger picture. But I think it also applies to when we're trying to strong arm ourselves into producing an innovative solution or idea, focusing too hard on the problem at hand and not supporting what our brains and bodies actually need for the creative ideation process. Most of us are going about our daily lives carrying a lot of stress in our bodies and minds. Our bodies physiologically respond to today's threats and stresses of deadlines, conflicts, parenting, finances, and world events. We've had some doozies recently. The same way our ancestors' bodies and minds responded to this real physical threats like famine, predation, overexposure to the elements. And you've probably heard this before, and about how being under this constant level of relentless stress increases the risk for serious health problems like heart attack, stroke, high blood pressure, and as well as mental illnesses like anxiety and depression. But these unhealthy levels of stress hormones can also inhibit our ability to be creative. Because when we're stressed out and overcommitted, we downshift into that reactive fight, flight, or freeze survival mode. We may make rushed or reactive decisions or divert to safe or tried and true ways of doing things instead of being able to experiment and make new connections. We may also just feel overwhelmed and uninspired. So how can we upshift our brains out of survival mode and into the right state of mind to allow for higher order thinking where creativity and ideation happens? Well, all we actually really need to do is pause. By building intentional pauses into our routine, our mind becomes more open to creative thought. Because the mode in which most people generate ideas is in a quiet state of mind, and in reaction to an external event or observation, rather than being formulated intentionally and proactively, it's important to build those mental resets into your day and allow for those connections to be made. Remember these moments that we talked about earlier when you may have experienced one of those sparks, those aha moments? Yep. These are all activities that count as a disconnection or pause. So what I'd like you to do now is share some of the ways that you pause in your daily life. And these may not have been things that you have intentionally chosen to do to pause, but I'm sure you have some sprinkled in there throughout your day. Okay, I'm seeing music. And again, if you're watching this later in a recording, just jot down some notes for yourself or at least think about it. And I'm going to read off some of the responses I'm seeing. Okay, listening to music, going for a walk, walking the dog, walking in nature, taking a nap, meditating. Yep, I see meditating. And playing with the dog. Yep. Okay, lots of pets, lots of nature, and lots of quiet, restful activities. One of the things that I have realized is a big way that I like to pause is watering my plants in the evening. There's something about the water and being outside and just watching the bees buzz around the flowers that's really grounding and is a great reset for me. Now, we work in tech. Technology is a wonderful thing. Smart devices connect us to people all across the world, which has been especially important during our times of global pandemic. They provide us with an enormous wealth of information, always available at our fingertips. Productivity, entertainment is always in our pocket. And we get instant gratification because it's so easy to pull that out of our pocket and plug in anytime we have a moment of boredom or downtime. I catch myself doing it all the time. I'm waiting in line at the store, and even if it's just a few minutes, I end up on my phone, scrolling social media, checking my email, checking my schedule, which is very entertaining, but it's also, when we do that all the time, in all those moments, we are actually robbing ourselves of those precious moments of downtime for our brains to make connections, for us to make more observations in the world around us. And our brain desperately needs that time to be able to spark novel ideas. In fact, I was on a family vacation this summer, and in preparation for this talk, I was telling my aunt about it over breakfast. We were talking about creativity and pause and cell phone usage, and which ironically we don't have any cell phone service or internet at the cabin, so we had lots of opportunities for pause. And she asked me if it was a bad thing that she sometimes just wants to mindlessly scroll on her phone, and she's aware that she's doing it and using it as an escape. And she also mentioned that her mind races when she lays down at night to go to sleep and she can't fall asleep. She has to often distract herself by listening to a podcast. And I told her that I don't think this is an uncommon phenomenon at all. I think a lot of us have little ways that we escape to take a break from our reality because we're so overstimulated and overbooked. But as I've learned in therapy, even if it's hard or scary, it's important to uncover and try to look at why we're trying to escape. And while I don't think those escapes are inherently bad, I think it's important that we examine them so that we can be smart users of our smart technology. And I also told her that perhaps her mind is racing at night because she's not giving her brain those breaks that it needs during the day. So technology is amazing. Let's make sure we're being smart users of our smart devices. Because we're all distracted, busy, brilliant balls of stress, just trying to balance all the demands of work and life, while also coming up with innovative and breakthrough solutions and inventions in an ever-changing, hyper-competitive, and incredibly fast-paced work environment. So if you're listening to me today and you're thinking that carving out time every day for something as ambiguous as a creative pause seems daunting or maybe even frivolous, I encourage you to think of it instead as a mindset shift, because inspiration is truly everywhere. Just be open, present, and curious as you move about the world around you. Touch things, smell things, listen to new sounds, taste new flavors. The more we try new things and the more senses we use to and attune ourselves to, the more we engage our brains. And you never know what connections may be made or what may inspire you next. And here is what I consider to be my ideation mindset. These are 5 ways I strive to approach life and work every day. Be curious and playful like a child. Children have a thirst for learning. They ask lots of questions, test boundaries, and don't take things too seriously. Steal like an artist. Explore the work, inventions, creations, and ideas of others. Hardly anything is completely new, but instead refurbished, embellished, tweaked to make it different. Can an existing process or technology be applied somewhere else to help solve a new problem? Learn from others and add your own unique flavor. And speaking of flavor, combine like a chef. What ideas or technologies can you combine to serve a new purpose or solve a problem? Combining things that already exist can make something new and innovative. Experiment like a scientist. What can you explore, prototype, and test? What variables can you change to have a different result? Learn from failures and successes and keep iterating. And this one's probably the hardest for me. Doing nothing is something. Back to our pauses. It's okay to feel uncomfortable and bored. It's okay to let your mind wander. Sometimes that is when you will surprise yourself the most. So in our last few minutes together, let's play a little game. And this is a little ideation exercise that I like to do. We're going to draw 3 images. They're going to be very quick, just 30 seconds or so. So first, I'd like you to draw a boat. These are simple Pictionary type drawings. I'll play a little bit of music for you while you're drawing. Okay, now I'd like you to draw something that moves people. Again, very simple drawings. And last but not least, I'd like you to draw anything you would like, blank slate. How did that feel? Which round did you enjoy the most and why? If you're here with me live, feel free to enter it in the chat or just write yourself a note. Some people thrive on open canvases and they prefer the third prompt. Others like a lot of parameters, or some like a few parameters but still lots of room to explore. So learning about what you prefer can be really helpful when you're going to go into a brainstorming or creative ideation process. Set yourself up for success and partner with others who can balance you out. And then the last question I have for you is, what are you going to try next? What new ways are you going to try to pause? What did you take away from this talk? Write yourself a promise on what you're going to try to incorporate into your daily lives to boost your creative ideation and give yourself room to pause. Thanks for spending a few minutes with me today. I hope you find some time today to take a break and pause.